let's dive into this thing. So, we're taking a look at UFC 271, and we're going to do a quick breakdown of the fight card. So, we got some pretty damn interesting fights on this card. Obviously, we've got the headliners, Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya. We've got the co-main event, Derek Lewis, Tai Tuivasa. We've also got Derek Brunson and Jaron Cannonier, which is a hell of a battle for basically who's going to be next up in the middleweight division. We've got Kyler Phillips taking on Marcelo Rojo, Bobby Green, Nasrat Hapgrass, Andrei Arlovsky, and Jared Vanderaa. Roxanne Modafferi in her retirement fight taking on Casey O'Neill. We got Alex Perez trying to get back up into the contendership, for the flyweight division with Matt Schnell. Maxime Grisham with William Knight, Ronnie Lawrence and Manny Martinez, Renato Moicano, Alexander Hernandez. We've got Carlos Ulberg, teammate of Israel Adesanya, taking on Fabio Cherant, and Jacob Malkoun and AJ Dobson. So let's take a look at everything here. So honestly, some of the earlier fights, I didn't do a whole lot of research. So I honestly wasn't going to dive into them that much. But as far as some quick early picks, I think Sergey Morozov, Douglas Silva, de Andrade, that's a pretty good one if you're looking for an underdog. The thing with Douglas Silva de Andrade is the guy, he puts power into everything. He can catch you. He can end the fight at any moment. A guy can end the fight. So with Douglas Silva de Andrade, it's one of those things where, if he can catch somebody, fantastic, but if he can't, he might most likely will get outworked by Sergey Morozov. So if you're looking to take a chance on an underdog pick, I would say take a run on Douglas Silva de Andrade, but that is not my most confident pick. Sergey Morozov will most likely at the minus 200 line win that one. Jacob Malkoun and AJ Dobson. This is one of those situations. Malkoun's coming in the underdog. It's one of Robert Whittaker's teammates. I think ultimately Dobson is a hell of a power puncher, but I think Malkoun, as we saw in his last fight out, his first fight, he got finished pretty badly. I think the moment was too big for him. But Malkoun really came back in the last one. This guy, he's a hell of a submission grappler, and he's one of those guys that can, over a course of a fight, land 25 takedowns and just keep working, and the guy never gives up. He never seems to tire, and that is a scary guy to go against. So there's always the chance at the minus 170 that AJ Dobson could knock Malkoun out, but I am going to take the underdog in Jacob Malkoun here at plus 140. I like that line. In some areas, it looks like it's more of a pick'em. So if you can still get Malkoun as an underdog, take a shot on that one. Next up, we got Cherant and Ulberg. This is another one where I'm kind of leaning towards the potential for an upset. Ulberg is extremely talented, but he is mostly, he's one of those guys, first round and a half, he's extremely dangerous. But if he can't get Cherant out of there, I do wonder if Cherant could end up picking up a decision win or coming back and finishing Ulberg late. So that's another one where I'm going to take a shot at an underdog. So if you are looking for some underdog spots, I do think Malkoun and Fabio Cherant are both good plays, especially in DraftKings and things like that. So definitely worth taking a shot on that one. Next up, we've got Hernandez and Moicano. Now, Moicano should win this. I mean, his grappling is legit, extremely legit. But Hernandez is also coming into this one pretty fired up, pretty fired up overall. I'm not that high on Hernandez. I think Hernandez came in on fire, and I think he overachieved, and now we're starting to see him slip back to where, he should be. Can he make improvements? Yes. I don't think his grappling is all that great. I don't think his striking is on the level that he thinks it is. I mean, Donald Cerrone picked him apart, and I think Moicano should win this one. I don't see any reason to lean towards Alexander Hernandez at plus money. I definitely think, sorry, my desk here's squeaking. Definitely gonna lean towards Alexander Hernandez, and I would take him, or I'm sorry, messed myself all up on that one. Moicano, minus 170. Definitely taking Moicano. Do know he has chin issues. I think he's a little more durable at 155 than he was at 145, but I don't trust Hernandez whatsoever. So I am taking Renato Moicano in that spot. Let me just slip over here and double check the stream. Make sure everything is looking all right. All right, looks like every time I go back and forth, we get a little bit of a All right, we're not looking optimal here. Just go into some of my settings here, everybody. Sorry for the issues. This is the first time I am doing a live stream on here, so don't want any issues. Just trying to figure out the best way to go about that. Alright, looks like my stream bitrate. Should be a little bit lower. Go ahead and drop that a bit. All right, let's dive back into this thing. All right, we're back here to Ronnie Lawrence and Manny Martinez. I am extremely high on Ronnie Lawrence. He's been out for a little bit. I do like him here. Don't see any reason to put money on him in this spot, but I do think he's a pretty solid pick at minus 270. Just the time off doesn't give me any comfort in putting and throwing some hard-earned cash there, but I do think Ronnie Lawrence should come out and pick up a win against Manny Martinez. Maxime Grishin and William Knight. This is one that's really tough for me. I like Maxime Grishin, and I think at this spot he should win, but I also like William Knight. My problem with William Knight is, he's not as polished as I'd like him to be. The guy's got some work to do. But in an underdog spot here, William Knight, he's big, powerful. He's not the tallest guy. He doesn't have a nice jab. He doesn't really set up his combinations the best. But the guy goes for it, He's a hard charger. He definitely works towards it. So in this spot at plus 165, plus 140, he's one that I would also look at possibly taking a shot. I do think Grishin's probably going to win this one, but I do like William Knight in an underdog spot here. And next up on the fight card, we've got Alex Perez and Matt Schnell. Schnell's plus 330, minus 400 for Alex Perez. Alex Perez should go in there and win this one. The thing is he going to, rebound after his loss, in that title fight and stuff? Are we going to see the Alex Perez that got him to that title shot, The guy's an extremely talented fighter. And Matt Schnell has this ability to underachieve and overachieve in spots. So with Matt Schnell there, I have a lot of trust on either one. I don't think there's anywhere as far as the money line, putting anything on either guy in this fight. I wouldn't trust Perez enough yet until we see him in a fight like this and see how well he performs and gets back on the horse. So until we see Perez put it together again, I don't trust him at minus 400. And I'll never trust Matt Schnell at plus 330. So I'm going to take Alex Perez in this spot, but I don't see any reason to bet or play this one on your DraftKings card. And then next up, we've got Roxanne Modafferi, Casey O'Neill. This one's a tough one for me. This is Modafferi's retirement fight. She's always a scrappy out. She always goes in there and gives it her all. And even though she's not the most polished striker, not the most polished grappler, you can't not love Roxanne Modafferi. At the end of the day, I do think Casey O'Neill is going to win this one. Don't trust the money line enough there to bet on either fighter. But you know what? Roxanne in her last fight, she's going to come out there motivated as hell to try to pick up a win. So I wouldn't put it past her. She squeaks one out. I don't trust her though enough. Don't trust Casey O'Neill enough. I do think Casey O'Neill's gonna end up winning this one, but it would be nice to see Roxanne Modafferi go out there and pick up a win in her retirement fight. Next up on the card, we got Jared Vanderop and Andrei Arlovski. Arlovski's a -150 to -300 favorite against Vanderop. This one's a close one. I would be, if you can get Vanderop on a good plus money line, I would take a shot on him. At the end of the day, though, Andrei Arlovski, man, this guy finds a ways to change his abilities. I mean, this guy was on a huge losing streak, I thought Arlovski was on his way out of MMA in general. I thought he was heading to the retirement bench, but somehow he keeps finding a way to win these fights. His experience, his ability, the way he uses that teep kick, his jab, his combinations, he keeps on his bike and avoids the big shots, and he keeps racking up wins. So I'm pretty comfortable with Andrei Arlovski, but he still does have chin issues. So if you want to take a shot on Vanderop at plus money, and you can get it, I think it's a worthwhile shot. Also a worthwhile underdog pick. I mean, these guys are heavyweights at the end of the day, and Vanderop could definitely score you big on a DraftKings lineup. So if you're playing around with some underdogs on your DraftKings, I think Vanderop is definitely one to take a chance on, but I am going to stick with Andrei Arlovski winning that fight. Next up, we got Bobby Green and Nasrat Haqparast. I think Nasrat's an extremely talented fighter, but I've 100% got Bobby Green in this one. I think Bobby Green has really been putting it together as of late. We saw in a bunch of his last fights just how talented this guy is. He's going to be around for a long time. His wrestling defense is fantastic. His wrestling is solid. And his boxing, his ability to slip and roll with punches. I mean, Bobby Green is a nightmare for a lot of fighters. Will he ever be a champion? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. But I still think Bobby Green is one of those top 10 outs that is going to give every single fighter a run for their money, and he's never going to be an easy out. And if he loses, it's usually a pretty contested, decision. So in this one, I didn't like how Nasrat looked in his last fight, so I'm going to lean towards Bobby Green in this one at the -162 favorite spot. Next up, we've got Marcel Rojo and Kyler Phillips. I'm really high on Kyler Phillips. I think he's an extremely talented, exciting striker. And I haven't seen a lot on Marcelo Rojo yet. I believe he's a guy that fights with, former flyweight champ, Brandon Moreno. Pretty certain he's a guy that trains with Brandon Moreno, so he's a pretty exciting fighter. I think Kyler Phillips is one of those guys. He's going to be the future in that division. So I am going to take Kyler Phillips. I think it's going to be a pretty tough fight though, overall. I don't think the line really explains how good the fight's going to be. But I am going to pick Kyler Phillips in the favorite spot. And, taking a dog shot on Rojo wouldn't be terrible. But I do think Kyler Phillips is going to end up picking that one up at the end of the day. Now I'm going to double check the stream one more time here, guys. We got 3 more fights to quickly talk about. Let's see here. All right, looks like it's doing better here. Looks like we've been doing okay until we switch screens here. So cool. All right, so as you guys know, this is my first live stream, so not the best. Got some work to do. I think I have a pretty good idea of how I'm going to do these from now on. I'm going to also work to schedule them in advance so I can get some of you guys in here to come on in and talk about everything. So we got 3 fights left. So we got Derek Brunson and Jared Cannonier. This one's interesting. Brunson's been on a tear lately, but I am really high on Jared Cannonier. I think he's a hell of a fighter. He has shown that his takedown defense is stellar. And I think at the end of the day, if Brunson can't get this to the ground, I think he's going to have a hell of a time with Cannonier. So I like Cannonier as the favorite. I don't really like Brunson as an underdog. I don't see him getting the takedown. Cannonier has stuffed most fighters' takedowns in all of his last fights, especially since moving down to middleweight. So I am very high on Cannonier. I think he's going to have the striking advantage, the power advantage. He's got some pretty powerful leg kicks. I think his hands are going to be better than Brunson, and I think he is going to stuff all the takedowns. And this is only a 3-round fight. And we saw, Cannonier can go 5 hard rounds and he can keep it on the feet, So 100% I'm taking Cannonier in the underdog's or favorite spot there. And next up on the card, we've got Tuivasa taking on Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is the minus 188 favorite to Tuivasa's plus 162. A little confused with this line here. I'm actually kind of surprised that Lewis is the favorite, to be honest with you. I think at the end of the day, Tuivasa tends to set up his combinations and his strikes a bit better than Lewis. I'm interested to see if Tuivasa is extremely, what's the word I'm looking for, hesitant, or if he is aggressively patient against Lewis. Obviously, Lewis can put the lights out of anybody, including Tuivasa. So I think either way you could go in this fight. Both guys are big, powerful, strong. I think Tuivasa's got more weapons in the manner of setups. I don't think he's not as much one-dimensional as Derek Lewis is. I mean, yeah, Derek Lewis can throw some crazy strikes, but I think Tuivasa's got more combinations with the hands. He moves a bit better. He's a bit faster than Lewis, although when Lewis does explode, he can be extremely fast. It's hard to bet against Derek Lewis. This guy comes out and picks up wins. This one is in Texas, so it's a hell of a card. But I am going to take the underdog, Tuivasa, at plus 150 to 162 in that range. So I do think Tuivasa is going to put it on Derek Lewis at some point, maybe to the body, ripping there. But don't be surprised if Lewis catches him with a knockout before the end of the fight. And now we're at the main event, what y'all been waiting for. We got Robert Whittaker taking on Israel Adesanya. Hell of a fight. Whittaker is coming in as the 140 to 235 underdog to the minus 188 to 290 favorite. That is Israel Adesanya. This one's a tough one for me, man. I think this fight's going to go a lot different than the first fight. I wonder how tentative Whittaker's going to be. I wonder if he's going to actually try to work on the wrestling, and if he can't get it, is he going to be able to hold his own in the feet? I do think his approach to striking with Israel Adesanya is going to be very different. I'm very interested to see. I don't, as much as I study and I've watched all these guys' fights, I have no idea how this one's going to play out. I'm really excited for it. Don't be surprised if Robert Whittaker comes out there and catches the chin of Adesanya, or if he's able to put him on his butt and hold him there. I don't think Whittaker... I think the biggest thing with Adesanya is Whittaker needs to catch him away from the fence with the takedowns. He needs to time them in a way where they're kind of more of a reactive takedown, catch him out in the open. Because when it comes to Adesanya in that takedown defense against the fence, and, he's almost undefeated there. I mean, Adesanya against the fence, the guy's mastered his takedown defense there. What Jan did so well was, A, he was much bigger than him, and B, he kept catching him out in the open, so he wasn't anywhere near the fence. And I don't see, obviously the size isn't going to be the same here. Robert Whittaker might have put on more muscle, but he's not going to have a 30-pound gap in weight like Jan Blachowicz did. So it's an extremely interesting one. I know Whittaker is coming into this in a better mindset. He's refreshed. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's hungry again. And Israel Adesanya is the one that's on the top of the world. And is he as hungry to go out there and win this one again? So super interesting fight. I didn't even know coming into this who I was going to lean towards. I do think I am going to take the plus money on Robert Whittaker in this spot. I think Whittaker is going to be a different animal out there. I think this fight is going to go potentially 5 hard rounds and come down to a decision. And I think in a fight like this, I think Whittaker might be able to pick up a close split decision in this one. So I think this fight's going to be a hell of a lot more competitive than the first one. I'm just interested to see what Whittaker's game plan is, and I'm interested to see what Izzy does differently in this one. If he just strikes from the outside and tries to play the points game, or if he actually, goes for the kill. So I am excited to see this one, but I think at the end of the day, I love Adesanya. I love Whittaker. It's a tough one for me, but I'm going to lean towards Robert Whittaker for the upset. So let's go back here. All right. So once again, I'm going to try to work on setting up these live streams so people can actually come join, comment. I'll answer your guys' comments and stuff. I'm going to try to set them up each week so we can do live chats and I can answer your guys' questions and we can have a discussion. That's what I'm doing these for. I do want to do at a minimum all the big UFC pay-per-views, and then I might start doing post-fights and other things like that. I know this live stream was a little bit on the messy side, getting it started and stuff. There's some dead hair there in the beginning and things like that, but getting the hang of this. This was my first live stream, so hopefully it wasn't too bad, and I will see you guys on the next one. So thank you, and peace. I'll see you guys later.